Hello everybody, this is my new podcast that I am making. I am IronGuy1614. I am not many places on the internet. I do have a YouTube channel by the same name. I don't have many things uploaded. I'm working on getting some stuff onto there. But since don't have the greatest quality technology for video editing, I figured a podcast would work and I wanted to make one. So this one is about Minecraft, and it's going to be just a general. I play Bedrock, so that's what it's going to focus on. I'll often have a friend in, or two friends, depending on whether they can make it or not. Yeah, I won't do direct news like I've seen a lot of podcasts do, where they just like read the release candidates and the releases and the updates, all the articles. What I'm going to do is I'll just be general because I feel it kind of dates the episode more, makes it hard to listen to if it's a couple years down the road. So yeah, so that's the intro. I'm thinking I'm going to call it the Sandbox Recap, probably. Or you guys will all know what it is if this is uploaded. It'll be under that name on the channel. That comes from the name of the realm I play on, which is run by another one of my buddies. It's called the Sandbox. He named it Sandbox. Don't know why. So yeah, and then I'm just recapping what we do on there mostly, and what's going on in Minecraft. So that also works. So the first section I'm going to do here is the login. So I'm just going to talk about what I've been doing in Minecraft recently. So in the last couple of weeks, I downloaded a mod called Techtopia by Tangotech. It's basically an improved villager mod. So I've been spending a lot of time in there, which is on Java, even though I mainly play Bedrock, but I'll get to it in a bit. But I have now been able to play on some Bedrock. So yeah, so what I did was I just started up a creative world because I figured I want to get used to this mod without having to worry about all the survival tech issues, like, mining and stuff. I want to play the mod. So I built up a town hall, which you need, which is like the start of your village. So I built up one. I'm doing a Viking theme up in I don't know what the biomes are called. Now I think they're called tag. I don't know what they would have been called in 1.12, which is what the mod is on. And so I built up a town hall and a storage room, and then I started making some villagers. My first couple of villagers died because I had no idea what to do and the zombies kept killing them. Now I've kind of got a system going. I've got a couple of guards. I've started building some bridges. I got a school. So I got some new life joining the village. It's really fun because the blacksmiths, they go and they make tools and they get their wood and ores from the miners and the lumberjacks, which actually mine and actually go and chop down trees. Farmers actually harvest crops. You have chefs that make food. I'd really recommend everyone listening, if they have the ability, to play the mod because it's really fun. What else did I do this week? So, I should talk about my buildings. So I'm not the greatest builder, I'm more of a technical player, but I want to get better at building, which is part of the reason I started playing Techtopia, because you gotta build the houses. So I started building these barn-style Viking log cabins, but since I'm not very good, I kind of just built the front, and then I, incorporated it into a hill. And now as I've gotten better at the style, I've managed. Now I don't need the hill. I've been making other places, and so now my town hall, my storage room, my first couple buildings, none of them are the same style. But now I think I've got a style going, so I might take those down and restart. So since this is the first episode, I think I should be just talking about what I do in Minecraft generally. So right now I'm playing on the Sandbox, which is this is our second world. I know on YouTube they're often called Season 2, so I guess it's our Season 2, even though none of us are YouTubers. We started it when 1.18 came out, and we wanted, the old world had a couple data packs and stuff to make things easier. This one we want to be pure vanilla, so we did that. Me and my one friend who runs the realm, we are building like a village, kind of like what I'm doing in Techtopia, but without the mod. So we kind of just tore down the whole village and started making a new one. Our village is known as Orr's Rest because it's a port on a river. I kind of expanded the river to make the harbor. The river's a wide river and it leads into a lake, and then the lake leads into another river which goes to the ocean. It's just a regular plains village. So the lore for our village is we have this like hill that was half the village was in. So I built up a wall around it, and that's like the Acropolis, or like the old town, or upper city, upper town, whatever we call it, which is kind of based on like the Acropolis in ancient Greece, Athens, and those other cities. Because the people would have come to this area and they would have been like, we need a defendable position, so they would have built it up on the hill where they can see everything. And then up in there, I have, like the temple. I have the mayor's house, the leaders. We don't have a name for him. And then we have the garrison with some towers and some barracks. And then we have another wall that kind of goes around it, around the upper city. That is just like the market. Like that's where the rich people live. And like the business owners and things. And then outside of that, we have like the farmers, the poor people, the fishermen, etc. And then that's kind of represented by the harbor too. So right at the walled part of the harbor, because the harbor is longer than the walls go, it goes outside. We have like our battleships. We only have 2 battleships that are being planned. We haven't quite built all our ships yet. So the battleships, well, not really battleship, but like longboats, just to protect the harbor from pirates or anything. And then you've got fisher boats, lots of those. They're closer to the far end of the harbor, which is less protected. And then, merchants, which come to the market, those are closer to the battleships because they're more valuable to the harbor managers. Haven't quite planned out what I'm going to do with all the other places. And then, so outside there we got the farms. I'm working on farms. On that realm, we have another friend. His name is QB. He's sort of building like fort. He has like a blackstone or deep slate, one of the two. I can't remember. It's dark. He made like a fort, and it's really cool. He's a super good builder, and he's got like an underground area with a gold farm and a storage room and a massive trading hall. His walls look cool. He's got a technical district and some other things. He plays more than I do. I've been kind of busy lately, so I haven't been able to get on, which kind of sucks, but that's just the way things are sometimes. And then before that, we had our, I guess our season 1, if you can call it that. That was more data pack driven. I played more then. That was right around 117. We kind of update around updates, or reset around updates. I kind of made some oil rigs in a swamp. That was my theme. So I had like an oil rig for each farm. I didn't quite finish it because 117 came out, and then 118 came out a few months. Well, what was the timeline? Maybe it was like half a year, which isn't quite enough time to get everything done. Before that, we had my own realm that I ran, which is called Connor Craft, which is my real name. Not craft part, just the Connor. On there, I had like, if you remember the Minecraft handbook, the house, I think I built that. I couldn't find my old handbook, so I built it from memory. But I tried to build that with its 2 floors, with the stone on the bottom and the wood on the top. And then I terraformed the entire area around it, which was a forest, until I got plains. I got rid of the river. I built like a barn. Other than that, everything was kind of spread out. I had my industrial district over an ocean like 10,000 blocks away, which really sucked to get to. I built a nether portal there, so I had nether travel, but it was still long. In the nether, I think, Oh, right. I built a super cool, um, darn, why can't I remember? I built a Wither Skeleton farm with the Blazes Nether Fortress farm. So that took a lot of work because I had to find each of the spawning spots, and then I would put glass panes above them. And then when things would spawn, they would spawn inside the glass panes. If you know how spawning mechanics work on Bedrock, they're kind of complicated. But mobs, I think, spawn on the northwest corner of the southwest block in a group of 4. So they kind of spawn right in the middle of 4 blocks. And then so if you put glass panes, they'll trap the mobs. And then if you run not nether rails, like just regular rails, power rails, you can run them through there. The minecart will pick them up and chuck them into another portal and get them out of the mob cap, and then kills them in a trident killer, which is something you can do on Bedrock with a trident just spinning around by pistons, and every time it moves, it causes damage. And then yeah, so then they die, which gave me a ton of skulls. And then I just had the standard stuff in my overworld industrial district, like, you know, the bamboo farm, the sugarcane farm. I had a fish farm, squid farm. I had a mob farm, cactus farm. If it was over the ocean, I don't know why I didn't build a guardian farm. Oh, I built the guardian farm in the Sandbox, the first world. And I also built a large Silent Whisper design mob farm, general mob farm. Before that was like my first ever survival world that was, you know, not, what's the term? Consistent, I guess, that I played on. It wasn't on my phone. First one that I played on. It was on PS4. Now I play on PC. But that one, I had like a super cool base up in the sky based off of Mumbo Jumbo's Season 4 world, I think. I never watched Season 4, but I've seen pictures of it, and it was really cool. But it was more modern. It was concrete terracotta. And yeah. And then, so that's where I had all my storage system and stuff. And then everything else was kind of spread around throughout the world. I was kind of, you know, still getting into how to play Minecraft, so I built everything in a new spot, which is really inefficient now, but it's how I did everything. I think that's good for the login, so I'm going to move on to the news, which I'm going to keep this general. I made this news bit back a while back. I haven't recorded it for a bit, but on here I have multiple release candidates, and then after that, which I'm guessing those fixed just some bugs before the full 1.19 release, and so the wild update came out, and most of you probably know you're more caught up on the update than I am. But 1.19 is out, and it added some things. I'm going to open it up real quick. Like mangrove swamps, mangrove trees, new mangrove blocks. I've seen some people excited about the mangrove blocks. I'm not quite as excited because I'm not a builder per se. And even when I do build, I really dislike most of the now woods, or the variance woods. I only use oak, and, well, I've been using spruce a little more lately, but, like, for most things, I just go and find oak. But, yeah, I guess more variation is always acceptable. The mud blocks and mud brick blocks added clay renewability, which will be useful for, like, bricks, because bricks are rare now. You gotta farm, and clay is kind of hard to get. Frogs and tadpoles, more ambient, so that's kind of cool. The deep dark biome, ancient cities. I've seen quite a bit on the deep dark. I've been more interested in that because, well, it looks cooler, obviously. I know there's a lot of disappointment. I've seen even some of my friends jokingly called this the third, or Caves and Cliffs Part 3, because they put everything into 3 updates, but everything else, disc fragment and music disc 5, which I guess you can make a new music disc, all the skulk stuff, warden, the alley. I was really torn on the alley. I did not vote for it. I voted for the copper golem, which I thought looked cooler. I am a technical player, but I didn't see how the ally could be used. I thought people... I'm still kind of convinced it was only added in because you had a bunch of younger kids think that it meant you could duplicate items, give them a diamond, and they'll bring you another one. But I've seen some more convincing uses of it now that it's been out. More for like non-stackable item sorters, which is really useful, something we needed. The boat with the chest, which I've seen a lot of people asking for. Goat horns, new music, and then various other things. Yeah, so there's a lot of controversy around this update, which I get. I get it, but I know Mojang's doing a lot of work, which is more complicated than most people realize. I think their main problem was they announce things like birch forests and fireflies very much like it's gonna be in, and like, but people take that and run with it, and then they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do that, or they don't realize they can't do it. So it kind of sucks, but I feel like they're gonna have to tone back what they announced to the fan base, which I don't think will be bad, because imagine how exciting it would be to just randomly in a new snapshot or update get a new biome or something. That'd be cool, without expecting it or anything. Because now, once the update comes out, it feels like it's been out for a while because there's so many videos on it. But like, if like you don't know what's coming basically until it comes out, I feel like that's a much better way to do it, which is how most of their games do it. But that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, and then something else that I've seen is Java and Bedrock are together on Windows. I've seen a lot of people like they're one version, which they're not. They're just purchased together, if I'm not mistaken. Or if you already own one, you own the other one. My friend, Thin Desert, was kind of upset because he bought Java and then he bought Bedrock separately. Now he thought like if he had just waited a couple months, he would have gotten it. But I'm kind of excited. Now I can play on Java. I can play that mod I've been talking about, which is how I managed to play it, because I now have Java even though I didn't pay for it. Yeah. So actually I thought I would talk about what my thoughts are for the Wild update. I haven't been paying attention much. I was really, into Minecraft right around COVID and the Nether update, but the splitting of the Caves and Cliffs really lost a lot of enthusiasm for me, which I get why they did it, but still, it kind of sucks to have one update turn into 3 different ones, all spread out. How long was it announced? Probably 2, actually, maybe even a year. I was going to say 3 years, but that's way too long. I'm not good at time. And yeah, even this Wild update, like they had missed some things, and so they kind of wanted to make it into a new update, but it feels kind of underwhelming. They introduce, a couple mobs, couple blocks. Like, this is what... I don't know if this update it feels underwhelming compared to the past ones, not compared to what updates used to be before, like the Ocean update Oceania or whatever it was called. It feels more along the lines of the Buzzy Bees, just less thorough, if you get what I mean. Yeah, because after like Caves and Cliffs, it wasn't just cliffs, it was the entirety of biome and elevation and everything generation. It's how everything changed. The cliffs or the caves, I feel, got a massive overhaul. I've seen some complaints about not having enough biomes maybe, but I feel like making the caves bigger and smaller really didn't matter. That was much better than more biomes, in my opinion. So, I don't know if I said this already, but I feel like we've kind of been spoiled with the last couple updates. not necessarily last couple. The last couple, like 112, I would say. Since 112, we kind of been spoiled with massive updates. The biggest break in there, I would say, would be the Buzzy Bee updates, which is a smaller update. But from my memory, lots of the updates from a long time ago were smaller. They were, a couple things added, and no one got really that excited about the updates. Whereas people, since 112, we've been expecting overhauls of everything, of the oceans, the color system in 112, I think. The nether, the caves and cliffs, and that stuff. And Mojang have been slowing down a bit, I feel, because they can't keep up that momentum, because if they just make every update bigger than the last, they're gonna get burnt out, and they can't maintain that momentum. So I feel like they're trying to shift towards a more inward focused update as well, because everyone always gets upset or lots of controversy. So I feel like they're gonna switch to doing updates more of a system where it comes out and we don't really hear about it. We get kind of sneak peeks, but not more than that. We don't necessarily get another update announcement. I wonder if they're gonna head that direction. Like, even if this update wasn't super exciting, they still added a lot of things. They added a new mob, the Alley, which is pretty cool from my perspective. A new biome, the mangrove swamp biome, which is just another swamp but way better. I was actually flying through one today. It's really cool. There's like trees everywhere. I was gonna chop down some trees, but I didn't really have any need for it, and there's a lot of leaves which get in the way. So I just kind of flew around it and checked it out. The water looks cool. The mud looks amazing. I've been trying to find a use for mud in one of my builds, but it just doesn't fit with my medieval style. Maybe once I start building the farms, I'll need some mud. Yeah, that's probably while I use it. So, yeah, I'm just reading some thoughts here. And it kind of switches between, everyone keeps saying disappointment and dissatisfied, which I totally understand. Like, normally my realm, we update around every update, but there was just nothing to update. It wasn't worth resetting from what we're doing. Like, Caves and Cliffs even if the ones of us that weren't done on our world, we understood why we should reset, because everyone wants to experience those new features. This one, it's just, we're just doing what we can and see it somewheres. Other things like the Deep Dark, I feel, even though it was supposed to come in the last update like a year ago, it's way better than I think they would have added if they had put it in then. Because this has got the massive ancient cities, which is, what's it called? End Fortress? No. The things you find the end portals in. I can't remember the name. But it's what that could have been. It's got the portal room. It's got everything. It's terrifying to walk through from most of the playthroughs I've seen, because there could be a mob that is just unbeatable at every turn. And I've seen a lot of people asking for a way to beat this mob, but that's not the point of the mob. The point of the mob is to avoid it. Which is kind of annoying, because if you want to explore the Deep Dark, you can't unless... You can't. You got to be super careful. You'll have to be creative if you just want to cruise through it to check things out. But I see where they're, like, you can see with their new structures the direction they're going. Like, they had the bastions, which, you can't open a chest in, so it makes looting it way harder. You have this where you can't make any noise and it's super hard to get through. So they're kind of trying to make it more... It's not just a chest that you open and keep moving. They're trying to make it an experience, so that when you go into these things, you come out with more than just a couple of crappy items. You have you experienced a new thing in the game. And when they did announce it, they said that they wanted you to experience the fear that you feel on the first night of Minecraft, which even I can remember when I started playing 7, 8 years ago. The fear, I died multiple times because I spawned in and got stuck in a river and was killed by a bunch of zombies, which would never happen now. Everything's just a one shot. Even if it's not a one shot, I still have the experience to avoid them and get away. So that's cool that they're adding, and it's added something for the combat, because combat players, not necessarily combat system, but the combat players have been kind of avoided since, the 1.8 and 1.9 stuff. And so now you have, a new mob that is, well, I guess it's not for fighting, but it has something for them to try and beat, because most of them just do PvP. And in the Caves and Cliffs, what did they add that was for combat players? I'm trying to think. I don't think there's much. There's caves you can fight in, I guess. Dripstone traps. Nether update didn't really add anything. Oh, netherite, I guess, but most combat players just want to fight. So the amount of time it takes to get netherite isn't gonna feel advantageous. I like how they're starting to incorporate a bit of lore in the game. So they have those music discs with the shards, and it sounds like someone's running from what I've heard. As if, someone's trying to get away from the warden, and there's this story to be told that no one knows what it's going to be, but we can all make up our own story from what we've experienced and seen in the game. I've seen lots of YouTube videos speculating on that. It's always a big part of YouTube community is the lore. There's lots of YouTube channels. Now I'm going to switch from not necessarily praising, but understanding to some of my more bigger criticisms. My biggest is the name. It's the Wild update, but what about it is the Wild? Is the Deep Dark, is it wild? When I was thinking wild, I was thinking the wild, the forest, the natural environments are wild and untamed. I was thinking, they're going to update all those biomes they've been talking about for a while. Or not necessarily a while, but haven't been updated in a long time and haven't seen any change. Forests are basically just trees everywhere. They don't feel they feel like a forest, but there's nothing, no liveliness, no animals. Cows aren't, they break the immersion because you aren't supposed to see cows in a forest. So I was hoping for something like that. I was also hoping that they would address farming. They would add corn, soybeans, things like that. Canola oil seeds, so that you could, make oils and, expand the foods. Even if, it's not going to always be used food. You give different foods advantages. They don't always have to, be dedicated to the hunger bar, but if different foods have different effects, kind of like the suspicious stew, give different foods different effects. I was hoping for that. Not farming technical Minecraft. I mean actual farming. Yes, and the above ground where, most people think of as wild, there's the mangroves. That's not mangroves, is that the word? Yeah, mangrove swamps. That's about it. And yeah, seems a little lackluster. The frog light was pretty cool. Frogs in general, I feel like that was a good addition. I feel like they should have added more of that. Way more of that, because one frog, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's not much. The mud. I'm just reading here. Mud there's lots of different mud variants, which is cool. So you can make primitive looking houses better, kind of like jungle houses. Mangrove, I feel like mangrove shouldn't have been a swamp, unless that's how it is in the real world, but more of a jungle. What they added in the underground, I feel was good. What I feel needed a lot more work was the above ground. So birch forests in general, I feel like need a lot of work. Lots of crops that should have been added. And yeah, so that's what I think. But I think that's going to be everything for today. It's been great talking to you guys on this episode. You can listen to this episode on YouTube, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and I'm working on getting it uploaded to somewhere else. Our YouTube is The Sandbox Recap. You can email us at sandboxrecap3@gmail.com, all lowercase. If you've enjoyed it, please tell your friends. Thanks for listening.
Powered by Riverside FM.